stimulated that news of you and I almost being roommates.
Oh, it's recording.
Hi, guys. It's Friday, April 2nd. And you're tuning to THOOPers, John Lucas III's favorite basketball podcast. I'm here with Josh.
You skipped the first and second John Lucas.
Did they play in the end? Oh, John
I don't
Lucas played
know.
for the Knicks, but he was an all-star. I don't know if they're related, though. George, how you doing?
Hello, I am good.
What time is it for you right now?
4:30.
AM or PM?
Neither.
Well, you look good.
Thank
but
you.
we have a good show for you guys listening or watching. Recap last days of ball. Georgia's halftime. JJ Redick is pissed off. And to end it off, we're going to give our predictions for the All-NBA teams now that we're about 3/4 of the way through the season, almost there. But remember, if you like, follow our socials, Instant Twitter at THHoopers. Drop a comment anywhere. We'll give you a shout out for support. Although we were made fun of last post, Frankie the Ace did comment, and he said it probably sucked without him. And I mean, it would have sucked regardless. But I mean, I appreciate the support.
We were shorthanded.
Yeah, we got a lot of show to get to, so we'll start with jumping right away to the recap. Wednesday, March 31st. Heat beat the Pacers 92-87. Blazers beat the Pistons 124-101. Nets beat the Rockets 120-108. Thunder beat the Raps 113-108. Jazz beat the Grizzlies 111-107. And the Spurs snapped the Kings win streak and beat them 120-106. Then ended off, Suns beat the Bulls 121-106. And the Bulls beat the Lakers. The Bucks beat the Lakers 112-97. Not a whole lot to add. It was your look ahead, George. So just give us your
quick thoughts.
Thoughts.
Lakers went really cold from three the last three quarters. It's kind of been a trend their last basically the last few months.
Quarters, like it's the last 3 minutes.
They shot 2 for 23 from three.
It was horrible.
After the first quarter. Bucks looked good. Drew Holiday was hooping, and that's a really good sign for him, especially come the postseason. But not much to take away from Drummond's debut like I had hoped to talk about on here.
Well, I took away a few things. The turnovers were pretty high for 14 minutes. But he did get injured early in that one, and he played through it. So
we'll see.
I'll reserve my thoughts. But he looked lighter, that's for sure. He said he lost about 20 pounds. I know how you don't play for 6 weeks and you lose weight, but good for him.
Yeah.
All right. First game we're going to talk about here, though, is the Mavs beating the Celtics 113-108. Luka had a great game and also had a lot of clutch shots to put the Beantown boys away, finishing with 36 and 11 for 15 shooting. Celtics were fully healthy, but the only starter to shoot over 50% was Jaylen Brown. They battled back, coming down as many as 19, but still caught an L. George, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Boston, what kind of took them out of the game was 20 points in the second quarter. Like you said, they almost came back, but ultimately fell short. Very, very efficient game from Luka, 11 for 15. And he's kind of found that three ball lately. I think his average is about up to like 37%. And I mean, if he finds that out consistently, that's very dangerous.
And they were deep this game.
Yeah.
He was hitting, he hit one. The clutchest one was from nearly half court. It was a step back.
That step back that's going to be his patent. I mean, he did that against the Clippers last playoffs, and like you texted us, Jalen Brunson gang. I know that's you and Josh's. That's your guy.
Mostly Josh. I'll give credit.
Mostly Josh. Yeah, we'll give him his flowers. But yeah, Josh has been saying he wanted to see more of him. Got 21 points on 8 of 10 shooting, and then Boston's side, basically a lot of the same, just inconsistent shooting. They got points out of Evan Fournier this time, but a lot of the same.
How many points?
6 points on 50% shooting, but no threes, which is kind of what they needed him for. Not very good. Kind of much of the same from the Celtics as we've seen over the last few weeks.
Well, yeah, Celtics got as close as 109-107 with about 16 seconds remaining. Mavericks did their best to blow it. They really did. Their offense was very bad down the stretch. It was just threes, and more threes. They weren't hitting a whole lot of them, but look at the ones that mattered. And then ultimately, Jalen Brunson.
Did you hear that?
Oh, I didn't hear anything.
Oh, sorry. Something played on my computer.
And then Jalen Brunson ultimately hit that layup to kind of steal it. Josh, what did you see from this one?
You guys kind of all hit it on the nose. I don't really want to flaunt more Jalen Brunson talk because everybody's gone on that. But Evan Fournier was very passive for a guy who's playing 30 minutes. It was almost like a suicide. It's only 6 shots. That's not something you really want to see from your quote-unquote bench spark. But just to beat on a dead horse a little bit, Celtics, yeah, they're very dangerous when they're making their shots, but when they're not, they just turn into one of the worst teams in the league, honestly, because their spacing isn't too great. So they got a lot of ISO scorers that don't know how to score consistently. So that's about it, though.
Well, I'll say some things for the Celtics. One, they're missing Robert Williams and Tristan Thompson, so they started Mo Wagner. So that's not a recipe for success, and he only played 15.
The issue with that is that they're not even diving into their bench. Like the backup guys aren't getting minutes whatsoever. They're just running Mo Wagner for like too long.
Well, who would you run?
Grant Williams could do a little bit better. I know he's short, but
they played him 9 minutes.
That's
went
not
over
that's,
2.
Sammy Ojale also, like they got guys that can play.
They ran Luke Cornett as their main backup.
Yeah, that's not like those are players that should not be getting minutes.
Okay, he's kind of water.
They essentially, outside of like Cornett getting 16 and Pritchard getting 16, it was a 6-man rotation. Fournier got over 30. Neesmith, their lottery pick, 4 minutes.
And I've been begging for him to get more run just because
It's hard, man.
Shooting is all confidence, and they're killing his confidence.
I mean, we kind of said
they need to get Marcus Smart integrated back in the lineup. That's kind of been the big.
I think he is 35 minutes.
Yeah, they've been playing him a lot. I never liked them getting Neesmith. I mean, he was decent in college, but I just felt like his position wasn't needed for this team. But I'm not Danny Ainge, so.
I will say one thing as far as Kemba Walker, and it won't be slander, didn't shoot well, 7 for 19. But watching this game from start to finish, didn't feel like a 7 for 19 game. He's normally pretty active on offense. It didn't seem like he was really like, well, let's see what the plus minus was. He had a 1 plus minus, which is pretty solid.
Oh, are you
Jason Tatum was a minus 19.
The plus minus guy?
So yeah, Kemba Walker, overall solid game, even though. So I guess I do need to take it into consideration, like Kemba, another horrible shooting game. But unless you watch it all the way from start to finish, like I did this time, he may have had a good game, like that wise. But anything else to add here from you guys?
Nope.
Very interesting game. Timberwolves outscored the Knicks 32-20 in the fourth quarter to secure a 102-101 W and MSG. Timberwolves shot 6% worse than the Knicks, but Anthony Edwards had 24 on good shooting to lead them. Knicks had 16 turnovers in this one, which I thought really cost them in this one, as well as late game execution. Do any of you feel like pretty confident talking about this one?
Let me pull up the stats on this one. I got to watch some of it. The Knicks just love playing these gritty, low scoring games, and I don't know if part of it's their defense or part of it is their streaky offense at times. I mean, they held the Timberwolves to 19 in the first, and then 30 in 2 of the 3 last quarters. So defense kind of fell off a bit. But I just want to see if anything pops out here because I really didn't get to analyze a lot of the stats during the game.
I can tell you a little bit about it. Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards, great games for both of them. This is probably the best game Anthony Edwards I've seen him play, just because he was very active on defense.
Mm-hmm.
He had, let me see, he had 3 steals, and all of them were breakaways where like he intercepted the passing lane and just got a layup out of it. And that really improved his shooting percentage because he went 9 for 16 here and 2 for 7 from 3. So it really showed that if he doesn't get those 3 easy layups, he's shooting below 50. So
I kind of got a ESPN stat for you here about Anthony Edwards. I know I did this last episode. I figured about bringing it back this time. Most points per game in a month by a teenager in NBA history.
Oh, Jesus.
24.2 from Anthony Edwards, only behind Carmelo and LeBron, respectively. So do with that what you will, but he's definitely been playing a lot better, getting more comfortable, I hope. His efficiency, I guess, is his biggest flaw right now, as well as the defense, but he looks like he's turning up a little bit more on that end. But yeah, just really efficiency wise.
Yeah, no, 3 steals, 4 blocks from Anthony Edwards this game.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, the 3 ball's not always there, 2 for 7, but 9 for 16 overall. And then, all you can ask from him is defense, and he'll be an all-star for sure. He's just got to have that drive. Josh, why don't you hop in here and tell us, you can either start us off on the Knicks, because I have a few things to say there, or you can continue Timberwolves.
I'll continue Timberwolves, and then I'll go into New York as a good transition for you. But Jaden McDaniels had a good game, and I think this kind of fits into my my opinion that the big 4 of Edwards, Beasley, D'Angelo, and Towns could work. But I think that now it requires like absolutely no scoring from anybody else. Like all 4 of those players need the ball. And I think if they all manage to get their shots, because McDaniel is shooting 13 shots, like Cat could shoot a little bit less. Like there's more shots that can go around than we realize. And the bench not producing, I mean, that wouldn't really be an issue if they had D'Angelo Russell. But yeah, I don't think that would be as big of an issue as we were talking about earlier. But moving on to the Knicks, Emmanuel quickly, 13 minutes, 0 points. That's kind of concerning that Taj Gibson's getting more minutes than the rookie that has kind of proved himself throughout this whole year. But yeah, Tom Thibodeau has these guys running 40. Randall and Barrett both have 40. Bullock's like their glue guy at this point. But I don't know what's going on with the rotation for the Knicks. This is a game they probably should have won, but it's kind of disheartening to see players like I don't know if Ntilikina was hurt, but Obi Toppin and Emmanuel quickly combined 21 minutes isn't really a good sign.
Yeah, so that was actually a really good transition because I was also going to touch on the rotations. One of the main big pages supporting us, I don't know if they're listening to the podcast or if just their supports on Instagram.
Emperor Records.
No, not Emperor Records. They do want us to advertise, though. We got our first bot. Nick Shit Only. Hopefully we won't get demonetized. But that's the Instagram username. So, I mean, if the Instagram allows it, we will. Elfrid Payton, RJ, and Julius Randle on 1800 possessions, minus 3.5 differential. And they played 43 minutes together the last 2 games on this 2-game losing streak. Emmanuel quickly, RJ, and Randle in 600 possessions, plus 14. And they only played 7 minutes together the last 2 games. So it seems like us here are not a big fan of Quickly in the starting lineup, but we're a fan of him he was coming off the bench and playing about 29 minutes a game. He was playing really well.
I'm not necessarily opposed to him not starting, but I like that 3 together a lot in a chunk of the game.
I'm a little against it just because we saw it, and he seemed they need like D Rose back. D Rose,
I agree.
They're playing great with D Rose, and then I mean Elfrid Payton. I'm not a hater of him. He had a good game, 17 points on 13 shots. But when you're running it through Randall and RJ, you got to find guys that fit with him. And that stat I said, plus 14 and 600 possessions, is a very good stat.
They need Barrett to be a playmaker if they're going to start quickly, and I don't know if he's really too confident being the primary ball handler. He's more of a secondary playmaker, but yeah, no, if that's not working, then I don't see a reason why Quickly should start. But he should still be getting 20 plus off the bench.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know when he went away from playing Quickly like those 25 minutes. Yeah, he's their best bench player. You can start Reggie Bullock for all I care, playing 43 because he's playing good. Elfrid Payton should not be playing more minutes than Emmanuel Quickly. But yeah, moving on to Thursday, April Fools. Pistons clapped the Wizards, 120-91. Sixers beat the Cavs, 114-94. And the Magic beat the Pelicans, 115-110 in OT. As no Zion, Beyond, B.I. or Zoe in this one. Wow.
Beyond and P.I.
April Fools.
Like April me saying Fools. Rogny Hood.
Don't mention Rogny Hood. But moving on to games that matter. LaMarcus Aldridge made his Nets debut and got the win against the Hornets. 111-89, which if you'd believe the score was closer than the game would lead you to believe. This game was over from the first. It was a horrible, horrible game.
They scored 11 points in the first quarter.
It was so bad. This was the dictionary definition of a team W, as Uncle JG Jeff Green led them scoring with 21 in a game without James Harden and obviously KD. 5 other players scoring double figures, and Kyrie had 11 assists in 33 minutes. Big take was Aldridge debuted as he had 11, 9, and 6 in 30 minutes starting, which caught me off guard. Biggest takeaway here. We got to mention Aldridge, but also, I mean, guys like Tyler Johnson were hooping today. Just random dudes like that. Well, he's not random, but who wants to start here?
Go ahead, George.
You take the floor, Josh.
Go ahead, George. You know, you seem so excited. Go ahead.
So a pretty big thing here. Yes, they started Aldridge, which would mean DeAndre Jordan got demoted. Not only did he get demoted, a DNP. That could be a sign moving forward, as we are big Nick Claxton fans here.
Playboy Cardi fans here.
Only got 14 minutes, which a little concerning in a game that was a blowout, but maybe by the end they were just playing, Elise Johnson and Reggie Perry, all these guys. But I actually want to revisit a point here, Lehman. On last pod, you said that the Clippers were the deepest team, but I think this team that we're looking at right here, the Nets, are the deepest team. They did this without KD, Harden, and Blake.
I've been going back and forth.
So yeah,
I've been going back and forth.
Yeah.
this game kind of opened my eyes in that regard, but I do still stand by the Clippers being the deepest team. This is a close second though.
I just feel like on any given night, whoever is or isn't in the lineup, you can get, a random night from Jeff Green, Tyler Johnson. Shamit had 17 on 60% shooting. I just feel like with this team, there's a lot more guys that, step up next man mentality than guys on the Clippers. I do agree that the Clippers have a very deep talent roster wise, but I feel like with the Nets, they get more production out of certain guys who are having to fill in bigger roles.
Well, Josh talks. Can you, or maybe was DJ a DNP coach's decision, or was he an injury? You know that for sure.
It says it right here on.
Wow. Okay. So
I mean, I'll look it up, but on the stat sheet,
if it says on the stat sheet, you're good. Okay. But yeah, Nick Claxton getting 14 minutes. Yeah. I mean, LaMarcus Aldridge 30 minutes in a blowout. I know they're trying to get him acclimated, but yeah, pretty solid. Didn't shoot the best, but he hit a 3. Didn't get to see him, flex his defensive IQ that he's been saying in the media.
2 steals and a block, though.
Yeah, but I mean, it was Bismack Biyombo, so that was his matchup for the night. But I mean, I still know LaMarcus has a lot left in the tank. Josh, what do you want to go here?
They abused the Hornets defensively, and this kind of fits into my timely stops regimen. That whole first quarter was an atrocity to watch from the Hornets offensive side. Not only did they lack a playmaker, like a proper playmaker in that starting lineup, the Nets were just hounding them. The starting lineup had 7 steals and 4 blocks, and I think half of them all came in the first quarter. It was a menagerie from the beginning, and even though the Hornets kind of picked it up a little bit in the second quarter, they just were so far behind. Like the Nets seem like a sound team. We keep seeing how, like, any other team, you think, oh, they're missing like 3 of their 4 best guys like every other night. You would think that they're hovering for a playoff spot, but this team is number 1 in the East. It's kind of hard to believe that.
Well, yeah, the team where there's only one ball to go around for everyone, and it was missing 2 of their star players, won the assist battle. The team that's too small to really compete with the Sixers and like really do something, won the rebound battle. It's the Nets, man.
It's even more impressive when it's the Hornets are the 4 seed, and they've been still winning even with LaMelo getting hurt.
They're the 4 seed. Yeah, this is what the East has come to. They're the 4 seed.
And like they had won 4 of their last 5 coming into this game, so it's not like Brooklyn beat up on a bad team. I mean, before this, they had gone to OT with Phoenix and beat Miami. So those are 2 games that they were in, one of them, and they won against another quality team. It's just, I mean, we said they get average defense. They're going to be head and shoulders above from everyone else. They might be playing above average soon, depending on how they gel together.
Josh, me and George talked about this last pod, I believe. Maybe you were here for it, and we did a previous one. Once the Nets are fully healthy, what's their starting lineup, and then what's their finishing lineup?
So the starting lineup's probably going to
be big 3 in all of them, and who's supporting them, I should say.
Big 3, I think Joe Harris starts, and I think they start DeAndre. And then closing, I'm going to go big 3, Bruce Brown and Blake.
So no Uncle JG in either.
I'm torn between Brown and Jeff Green. I like Brown's defensive a little bit more, but depending on who they play, like if they're playing like the Bucks, I think they go Brown. But if they're playing more of like a experienced team like Miami, I think they go Jeff Green. I think it all depends on who they play, but I like Brown's defensive scheme a little bit better. I think he's just a little bit more energy wise.
I think I like your starters just because that's what they've been rolling with. Plus, they all like DJ. He's not going to be finishing games, but he's starting him. And then I like Bruce Brown in the end, and then Uncle JG over Blake. Just because Uncle JG
fair. I just think Blake Griffin's a little bit more a little bit more athletic and dynamic for bigger players like Embiid and Giannis. That's why I kind of throw him in there because
I think JG is a little bit more dependendable. That's the little buzzword I'll put on him.
Yeah.
So George, what's your finishing line? Then we'll get the hell out of here and get on to a new game.
Yeah, it's I honestly don't know if I have Blake as much as I do Bruce Brown or JG, but I agree with what Josh said in matchup base because that's how it's going to be a lot of the time. I am kind of disappointed that we don't see Claxton, but I don't think we will. even though I'd love to see him in there, but I don't
George
think
got a man crush on Nick Claxton.
maybe
There's
maybe
just too many dudes.
maybe they do like a wrinkle thing. You know how the Lakers kind of just threw in THT last series against the Rockets? I know it's different because THT had like never played and then boom, throw him in a playoff series. What are you looking at me for, Josh?
Why would they do that?
You say Nick Claxton, the Nets' secret weapon? The team that
he's
signed
gonna
Blake
come in
Griffin
for
and
Kevin Durant.
Aldridge?
My bad.
No, they're just gonna throw him in, like a random closing or starting lineup in
Joel
like a
will
game
score.
4.
Joel will score 20
Not
points
against
in
the
2
not
minutes.
in the conference finals.
20
Maybe
points
against
in 2
maybe against
minutes.
like a Pacers team. See what he can do against
that
Turner.
series is going 3. They don't need a wrinkle thrown in for that one.
I tried to be a little creative.
But
I guess
Marcus
that
is
backfired.
I'll say this
wrinkle.
right now: this Nets team could probably take the Lakers to 6 without KD. That's how confident I am in this squad.
I said this
It's
to you
insane.
guys in the group chat. I
beat
said
the Lakers in 6.
They could lose in 6 without KD.
yeah, they're not. No, I said that they literally might not need KD until the conference finals. It's definitely matchup dependent because I mean, if they end up,
They might not need KD until the NBA finals. They might not need KD at all.
well, with Harden's playoff
Depending
Mickey
on
Mouse ring
record,
for Kevin Durant.
they don't. He's not the best player on the team. I thought that's what he wanted.
If James
to go to New
Harden
York for.
wins another MVP and then wins Finals MVP, oh man,
Oh
that
no,
summer
Josh,
podcast.
Sorry,
is
D
gonna be-
Wade.
on here.
That summer podcast
Oh,
is
yeah.
gonna be excellent.
Just before we end this off, no worries at all. This team can gel together, right? As far as all these
No,
moving pieces
they have
coming in.
very good chemistry.
They'll be good?
They're
Like
like they're like what the Hawks should be. They have so many bodies, but they work together.
And then the Jazz are what the 2015-16 Hawks were. A lot of Hawks talk here. Moving on, the Heat officially got back on track with their 3rd win in a row as they beat the Warriors 116-109. Curry at 36, but Jimmy, Duncan Robinson, and Tyler Hero all shot great, honestly. And that's normally the key to Miami wins because the defense is always there, at least in my opinion. Those shooters are there. They're going to win some games. This also was Oladipo's debut, so lots to talk about here. I'll start with you, George.
I was very, very happy with how Oladipo looked in some stretches. They were throwing him on even like Curry at some points, and he wasn't obviously like, putting him in a prison cell, but I saw a lot of good habits from this game. And they started Ariza again, so they had a lineup of Depot, Butler, Ariza, Bam, and Robinson, which could end up being their closing lineup unless they throw like Iggy or something, just to have like an all switchable defensive lineup. But I like how this team looks with him in terms of offense. Not very good for Depot, but I mean his first game with this team, I'm not really worried. Bielitsa, the guy I kind of paraded about, did fairly decent. 50% shooting, 8 points. Like you said, Hero had a good game, and if they can get Hero and Robinson both shot over 50%, if they can get those guys going, coming off those down screens that they love to set for him. With that defense, those 4 guys, I mean, they could make a lot of noise, even against a team like the Nets. So yeah, I was happy.
See, I'm
with
on
this.
the NBA Game Time app, and I guess you're on ESPN.
Yeah.
How many of these DNPs were coaches' decisions? Because we didn't see none or Dragic.
All of them. Dragic is hurt. Dragic is hurt for sure. None. It just says CD. So.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, I know they hate none, but this is what I wanted. I didn't know if they do it. Point Jimmy. And sometimes point Bam. He gets that board, he goes coast to coast. So they don't really need a pure point guard in there. And then I knew they'd keep Duncan Robinson there just because when he gets hot, he opens up a whole new layer for their offense. And then Tyler Hero off the bench. Yeah, good game for Miami. Yeah, I want to see more from Victor, but I mean, 23 minutes, kind of get back in the shape.
Going to be very conservative with
winning basketball.
Yeah.
And then and Trevor Ariza is playing solid. I'll give you that, George. I mean, they don't really need him because they got Iggy, but he's playing good. They're starting him. I like the starting lineup here. I think Dragic and Tyler off the bench will be great for them just because they can use as much offense they can get. Joshua.
Trevor Ariza kind of fell in the Jay Crowder hole. That's a good thing.
They're trying so hard to find one.
Not as good as Jay Crowder.
Definitely not shooting wise, but
but they got somebody to do it for them. I'm gonna go on the Warriors side. Oh man, this one's gonna hurt a little bit. I think they need to create a game plan that doesn't hover and rely so much on Steph because it's so easy to figure out. Like Steph is a generational talent. He always will be until the day he clocks in his last few hours as an NBA player. But we look at the stats here. Andrew Wiggins did phenomenal. They shot the same exact percentage, 45% on the same exact amount of threes. I mean, this team, like George loves harping on how like not great this supporting cast is, but I think they're manageable. And I think if they figure out a way to get Steph open shots without it literally being Steph, hey, run around until you get an open shot, I think they might be a dangerous team in the playoffs. But until they figure that out, they're just gonna hover outside of that play. And James Wiseman, 1 of 5, 4 shots. He needs to do better. He got a starting role, and then he just blew it. Like Bam had him in a lock. But this team, they need to figure out something because a lot of these players are not getting shots, and it's just kind of Draymond and Steph 2-man game the whole time. And that's after about 20 to 25 minutes in a 48-minute game, you kind of start to put 2 and 2 together.
Well, for one, how is 20 minutes a starting role? That's a DeAndre Jordan starting role. Steve Kerr does not know how to coach this guy. He doesn't. You need to throw him out there. Let him make mistakes. Let him suffer. He's a second pick in the draft.
Because if you're going
to play for wins now, then you should have traded the pick. You should have. If you expected him to play perfect right now, trade the pick for something good.
Steve Kerr, like this will be the second year that they don't make the finals in Steve Kerr's 7-year tenure. He's so used to success that he's gotten lazy. And that's
he liked losing last year. It was fun. It was fun. Yeah. He liked it a lot. But yeah. And then I'll lead you into this, George. I'm kind of in the middle because I'm team. Yes, I'm team. Give Curry the ball. Let him do Russell Westbrook 2016.
Yeah,
or 2017, I should say. But yeah, Wiggins is playing good. Draymond's kind of found his footing as a playmaker. And then if he knows how to coach Wiseman, I think he's also solid. Just not Kelly Oubre. Everyone else can kind of help Steph, but I don't really know what you want them to do, Josh, because this team can't be deadly in the playoffs. They can't. They simply can't. Well, you said that.
No, I mean, like, if they come with the element of surprise, they're going to need Wiggins and Wiseman to show up consistently. But as long as they have Draymond and Steph, they have the dangerous ability, but not if they go into the thing the way they've been going into games. Because if they go into the playoffs the way they've been going into the regular season games, they're too easy to figure out.
George, so I guess going a little tangent here, just talk about as far as how you see this team with Curry, because you've been saying he doesn't have enough help, and then have you changed on that, or do you see a way they can play that can maximize his talent, or
I guess
too much?
I mean, I won't say he doesn't have enough help because like Wiggins and Oubre,
Klay Thompson,
they tried their best. I don't think they tried their best, honestly, but because here's the thing, like we say that they're not chasing wins. We've kind of heard Steve Kerr even reiterate that. I think from day one, they kind of told themselves they weren't chasing wins because they took Wiseman, and I don't know why they expected to be able to compete with him. They're kind of banking on Klay coming back as like the guy he was before, which, look at KD and Klay right now. I mean, KD and Wall, they can't stay really healthy. Like if you expect Klay to come back, he's going to be playing like 15, 20 minutes when he starts out.
Different games though.
Huh?
Klay goes from 3-pointer to 3-pointer. John Wall's driving and dunking. KD is shimmying.
I'm just saying it's going to be hard for him to keep. He's not going to be the same guy coming back, which I feel like they're banking on by, if you're not gonna try and maximize the prime of Steph Curry at 33. He has a few max prime years left. Trade the pick. You shouldn't have really, or you could have even taken LaMelo because you have a secondary playmaker that can set Steph up off ball. Because Josh was kind of saying like, oh, he's just running around trying to get open. LaMelo could have set him up nicely.
Unfair. That's a little unfair.
No, I shouldn't go that route. I shouldn't go that route. I don't want to poop on Wiseman more, but yeah, this. It's going to be interesting to see what they do come off season. I kind of hope they trade the pick, but I mean, if they take a guy, Steph's going to be a free agent in 2022. I don't know what he does. I would think he signs it no matter what, but we'll get into that next year if we're even still.
So what team are you cool with Steve Kerr playing Wiseman like this?
No, I don't. It shoots his confidence to the floor.
But you're saying you only got a few years of prime Curry left. So if you're stuck with this, if Wiseman is helping you win, you got to pull him early, right?
No, because I mean, if you're going to want to develop him, you shouldn't be playing him 20 minutes, sitting him in games, for trying to reprimand him. If you want to develop him and you want to try to also semi-compete, you have to have him playing big minutes. You can't keep doing this. Oh, we're going to play him like 25. We're going to, bring him off the bench. We're going to start him. We're not going to play him. For a guy who's now 20 years old, that messes with your confidence, you know. And a guy who only played 3 college games because the NCAA screwed him over and then COVID came in. So it's really been hard for Wiseman. He gets a lot of flack too because of the guy that went behind him. So I don't know.
And now in front of him.
True.
He's kind of
Edwards.
sandwiched there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's just play your young guy the whole time, and maybe you'll get some wins if he's good enough. I mean, players. I mean, starting with Donovan Mitchell and Jason Tatum that year, like they contribute right away as long as you give them the keys to the car. So I mean, not a big Steve Kerr fan as of right now. How he's treating this young guy. He's saying they're not chasing wins, and he's pulling their best prospect.
Twitter called him a bottom 10 coach.
I gotta write him out on paper
I'm on
before
Twitter
I say yes
with
or
that
no.
one. I hate Steve Kerr and I miss Klay Thompson. Next team.
Game of the night was a double OT match between the Spurs and the Hawks, and it goes final 134-129 Hawks. I'll name the stats, and you guys tell me what you saw. Clint Capella had, the usual. I didn't get 28 points and 17 boards in 40 minutes. In the backcourt of Bogey and Trey combined for 56 for the Spurs. DeRozan had 36, as well as a lot of clutch shots. What did y'all see here? Start with whoever wants to start.
I'll start. Big O finally got some playing time. 10 and 5 on 12 minutes. That's really good. Kind of hard when Clint Capella is being Clint Capella. I'm amazed, honestly. Clint Capella can play 44 really good minutes. Like that's great. Like those Houston days have not left his body. I mean, not too. It was a fantastic game just because it went to double overtime, but. I don't know. The Spurs just feel like they're missing something. Like I don't know if they don't have like the complete picture. Maybe they're missing the leadership of LaMarcus Aldridge. I know he kind of gave up on them, but when you lose a veteran talent like that, it kind of still leaves a hole. Kind of like how the Danny Granger thing happened with Indiana. When you lose a locker room guy, sometimes it kind of messes up the flow of things. But both teams have been playing phenomenal basketball recently, so it's kind of hard to pickpocket anything from this. There's just two teams fighting for their playoff positions, honestly.
Yeah, so it went to OT because DeMar DeRozan had a clutch fadeaway, and then Trae missed the floater. And then in OT, it was tie game, and Bogey made a shot, but it was a second and a half too late. I don't know what they got. It's on Trae because Trae drove, and he kicked the Bogey with like a second and a half left, and Bogey took 2 dribbles, so it just was not good execution there. And then Danilo sent him home. He hit that corner 3 when they're up by 1, and 4-point game with 16 seconds left, and then Spurs
very cool to see him close.
Yeah. What exactly was their closing lineup? Do you remember?
I think it was just their starting lineup, but they got rid of
Tony Snell?
No, Solomon Hill. And they put Gallo in. Why is Tony Snell played 44, man. Tony Snell is the CEO of suicides. He is on the court constantly.
Was this Lou Will's first game, or has he been playing for a little bit?
This was his debut.
3 for 10, 0 for 1 from 3, 7 points, 22 minutes, 5 assists though, so not bad. You guys see a real way he can contribute here, because I mean they're missing John Collins, Chris Dunn, DeAndre Hunter, and Cam Reddish. So when they're all healthy, do you see a real way he's going to get any real minutes?
Just probably like 15, 20 minutes, kind of just the professional scorer role that we've seen him in, but not as big. I think they could use it. It's going to hurt when those pieces get back, because we've seen how the Hawks, when there's a lot of moving pieces in and out, it could affect them. But I feel like Lou Will is just plug him in, get him the ball, and let him score. So I don't think it'll be that much of a hassle.
See, I think he might be getting a few DNP coaches' decisions just Definitely. Because I feel like Bogey might be going to the bench once they get those defensive players back on the wing. Mm-hmm. And he's been playing great. 28 points here, 12 or 17. I mean, I guess I'll love this up to you. Do you guys see him starting when they get those defensive pieces back? Because they're starting Tony Snell and Solomon Hill at the 3 and 4. Do you think they could slide in there? But then John Collins would have to be benched. So what do you guys see the starting lineup being when they're healthy?
I wouldn't be opposed to moving Reddish to the bench, actually. You would have Trey, Bogey, Hunter, Collins, Capella. I kind of like it more. I think the scoring role in Bogey helps. I know his defense. I think Reddish is a slightly better defender, but I don't know. I mean, you got Trae Young anyways in the backcourt, so who even cares about defense at that point?
I think Josh just low mute, so we'll move on. It's not a crazy question.
Yeah, we're good.
So
we're good.
we'll move on to the TNT nightcap. It was Nuggets Clips, and it goes final 101-94. Pretty good game here from the Nuggets. They had a very good first quarter, won at 31-20, and then kept it relatively close the whole time. Clippers kept trying to get back in it. They come back to 5 points, and the Nuggets go back to 10-11. Then they go back to 5 points, back to 10-11. Aaron Gordon had a good game here. 38 minutes, 14 points, decent shooting. And then Jokic had a tough time shooting, but still had 14. He kind of makes that offense roll. Leading scorer was Jamal Murray. And then for the Clippers, really, they were healthy. Paul George, once again, struggles, 5 for 15. Let's see who they were missing, though.
Paul George, number one trending on Twitter tonight.
He was?
5 for 50.
Yeah.
Pfizer P.
No Rondo still. I don't know if that only injury or just hasn't made his debut yet. Then no Patrick Beverly, no Ibaka.
For Rondo, it says right adductor strain, so he doesn't seem to be healthy. That's bad.
All that means is more Luke Kennard minutes, and he had 2 points here, 1 for 5. Enough stat. What'd you guys see here? I'll start with George because George was a little bit passionate about this game as a Clipper hater.
Yeah, I really, really enjoy watching Terrence Mann play, even though I am a Laker fan. I'm going to give him his flowers yet again.
You're a Laker fan?
18 points on 8 for 10 shooting. He's really just a do-it-all guy. I mean, even in the clutch, Kawhi was going to him. He was running the point in their closing lineup, like bringing the ball down the floor and setting guys up. I'm really surprised by that. It looks like Kawhi has his trust there. I just think he goes for those loose balls, the 50-50 balls, those tough rebounds over guys like MPJ and Aaron Gordon. So I think it's really, Lou Will shifts out, so there's more minutes for Terrence Mann now to be a guy off the bench, and he's going to be a lot better player in the playoffs. That his play style will be a lot better for them than Lou Will, I should say. Let me phrase it like that. In terms of the Nuggets, I mean, they just have a physical mismatch over the Clippers. I mean, we already knew that there was a mismatch because of Jokic, but Aaron Gordon, I mean, they had Aaron Gordon on Kawhi, and for stretches, he was defending him so we harped on Aaron Gordon being a great defender for them, but going one-on-one against Kawhi and doing solid against him, he shot under 50%. I mean, honestly, if the Lakers aren't, fully healthy, this Denver team could make it out of the West, honestly. They have all the pieces now. They were missing the defensive 4 like Gordon. Now they have it. I don't know. Is Josh still on mute? I don't.
No, Josh is right now.
I'm here.
Okay,
I'm waiting for you to finish your.
I'm gonna let Josh talk now
Kenny
because
the Jet Smith take over there.
So yeah, and if Josh says anything, I'll speak again.
Well, I'm not gonna speak in that case. No, George kind of hit on the nose with the Clippers. They just rely too much on their jump shots. I don't really see a reason to keep beating up on the Clippers, in all honesty. Aaron Gordon, though, not even the play-by-play, one-on-one matchup with the Kawhi, just being a dynamic, player to help off. 3 steals and 2 blocks. It's just it's such a different energy and the things that he brings to the table for the Nuggets, that 5, if they're consistent, like George said, they have a good shot at making the finals. I've been a big Michael Porter Jr. guy, seems to finally understand his role. And the thing is, this was a bad, or not bad, but a below average Jokic game, 37%, 14, 7, and 7. I mean, for the I guess the MVP one of the head runners for MVPs, that's a very underwhelming game. It seemed like the rest of the starting lineup really came together, and obviously he did his thing, but man, all of them scored. All of them did. Even if they didn't score, they still did decent. They all almost scored 20, and Aaron Gordon was playing phenomenal defense, and they got 11 points off the bench. The rest are starters. That's a crazy thing to say.
Yeah, so in the beginning of the season, we were like, Jokic will always be there, but he can't have a bad game because no one's really there. And now they have 5 solid guys, including Jokic, to where, like you said, Jokic just have a good game. Will Barton, 19 points. Aaron Gordon, 14 points. Murray, 50% shooting. Think he doesn't always do that, so good thing when he does that, you can get that W, and you beat a good team in the Clippers. So, I mean, yeah, it's really, honestly, Will Barton's been the main thing for me. He really hasn't missed a beat. He only played a few games where he wasn't as a starter from comeback from injury. Now he's scoring almost 19 every single game. And then Aaron Gordon is just what the doctor ordered. He's good on defense. You're watching the film. Kawhi shot bad, and then also he's just making it tough for Kawhi to get the ball off ball as well. And
he was following him around. Yeah,
he was hounding him. Yeah, and
almost
then
like a box and one, but yeah.
And like, yeah, you had the intangibles there. And Gordon, he was a tall guy, pretty built. We're number 50. Mentioned it again today in the interview. Thank God he did that, because we forgot he wasn't a dunk contest. But yeah, Aaron Gordon, very solid as far as that goes. And then on offense too, Jokic finds him every single time. Just having a guy like Aaron Gordon cut to the basket, it's very, very important to have.
If Jokic cuts, or I mean, if anybody cuts, Jokic will find you. That's what I noticed.
Anything else to add from here? All right, so we're gonna move on to the halftime report. It's halftime report for two reasons. George is the half hooper, and it's halfway through the show. Haha. George, what are the streets saying? What is Twitter saying besides Andre Drummond slander?
So over the weekend, we got a pretty interesting clip, I'd say, from the old man in the 3-pod. I think it came from JJ Redick's, but I have some quotes that I wrote down from his podcast. He was shocked to be traded to the Mavericks because he requested a trade in November to the Pelicans, and he said he wanted to be in Brooklyn just to be closer to his family during COVID because they're from the Northeast. And he thought the Pelicans would offer him a buyout after the trade deadline, and we saw that it was reported, and then boom, traded to the Mavericks out of thin air. And he kind of really just hampered on how incompetent New Orleans front office is, and just no transparency, no honesty. So I really just want to get your thoughts on this, because I don't really have a real question to phrase about just what you guys think about it. If you have an opinion on the New Orleans front office and what this does going forward, because his agency, I believe, is CAA, which is a pretty big representation of players in the league. I'll start with you, Lehman.
I'll start us off here. I don't know if you mentioned this, but yeah, he wanted to be traded to the
Northeast.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know my left and right, honestly. And because that's where his kids going to kindergarten in Brooklyn and all that stuff, so he wanted to go there. And he wasn't saying a contender. Like he was fine going to the Celtics. So I mean, obviously,
not a contender.
Like so he wasn't picky as far as that, because Griff in his defense was like, well, we traded him to a team who's maybe a contender. I think Mavs and Celtics in the East and West are kind of the same team.
Yeah.
But he was like, we traded him to a good team. We didn't trade him to like a bad team. They're a better team than us. But he wanted to go to see his family. That was
just
the main
anywhere
thing.
In the Northeast, not even.
And then it was he said either stay in New Orleans, so he doesn't have to move, or go see his kids. But no, now he has to move out of New Orleans, further away from his kids. So if he were to give west, if Griff said, hey, we'll try, and he does this, got to do what's best for you. You give your word as a GM. And now JJ Redick, who has the most popular player podcasts in the NBA, is now completely ruining your name. You have a young core there in Zion and BI, and no one's going to come play with you. And then as far as just David Griffin slander in general, I did a little deep dive, and I was like, I always watch other sports stuff too. He hasn't proven a whole lot since he got there. Zion fell in his lap, and then they made a trade that me and George scratched our heads on, and Steven Adams. And then now they might lose Lonzo because, their relationship with their front office. So, I mean, Griff has a lot to prove. He's not on a short leash or anything, but I mean, also, and then they also botched the Lakers' 4th pick, trading drafting Jackson Hayes. So I don't know. A lot of Griff slander the last few days.
Josh, you want to add a little bit?
I mean, I'll keep it short and blunt. Honestly, JJ Redick should kind of get over it. He kind of already knows what went down in New Orleans. They just haven't had a good atmosphere for the last decade. Chris Paul kind of opened the gateway for that, and just the New Orleans organization in general stinks. But I mean, it's a job. I hate to take the head corporate side of things, but if you're traveling for a job and you got to sacrifice it, you got to start to think he's kind of getting old. He doesn't have to play. Nobody's asking him. So, I mean, I get the David Griffin thing, Lehman, you hit on the nose. I'm not going to beat on a dead horse with that one, but at the same time, you shouldn't have to, you didn't do too much for New Orleans. JJ Redick's acting like he walked in with the NBA trophy. He needs to kind of get over it, honestly. Like he's getting up there in age. It's not like his services are like needed for any real team. So I mean, honestly, it's not as big of a deal as he's making it because it's just something he should have expected, honestly.
I do hear you in that sense, but I mean, just as far as like get over it, like you got traded, bro. Like it's not that big of a deal. But like if he did, say, if David Griffin told him like, hey, you're either going to see your family or you're staying, like then
You're
it's
right.
like, Then you're like,
Yeah.
okay, Griff, that's interesting. But yeah, that was my gut reaction. I was like, why is JJ bitching again? He got traded to a better team. I was like, because he always goes on his podcast and
he's always whining about
he's
something.
always whining about something, yeah. And I kind of, that was my first initial reaction. And I'm like, well, I mean,
I know David Griffin sucks.
I'm looking
the organizations
for it
terrible.
right now. Do you guys remember the trade package they got for JJ Redick? Was there anything
I can,
like really,
or you guys can look it up.
I'm looking for
George, go ahead and continue to the next topic though while we
Okay, this one will be quicker. It's just Embiid is expected to return on Saturday, and KD is closing in on a return to coming back as well. But another wrinkle for the Nets, James Harden's going to miss a few games. So on the KD side, I want to ask how you think they're going to integrate him back because he's missed a while. And Embiid too. I'm going to just MVP wise, you think he still has a shot to win it. So Josh, you are aggressively pointing at yourself, so I will pick you.
Okay, well, apparently JJ Redick took a Pilates class, and then afterward he learned him and Nico Melli got traded for James Johnson, Wes Iwundu, a second-round pick, and cash. So very underwhelming trade. For the
couldn't
KD
just buy
thing,
the guy out. You couldn't just buy him out.
no,
you
they wanted cash. They wanted cash.
Also, I will add this. Sorry, he's been mad at SVG the whole year. He was, whining on his podcast about like, I'm 34. I shouldn't be like doing these like everyday practices. We're practicing hard when he like plays for a young team, and so he's been wanting to be traded since like the second game. So he's just angry at the whole organization. Yeah, let's move on.
So the KD, Lehman and I have kind of harped on the KD thing. It's very difficult to not be able to integrate Kevin Durant into a system. And I think with Harden missing games, it actually kind of helps him out a little bit because there's not a lot of pressure. It doesn't go from like one superstar to all four at the same time or like whatever. They kind of just like are switching. Three.
Okay, I had a heart attack.
I kind of just throw Blake Griffin in there because he's a household name, but like I'm gonna say just like four big guys that are gonna have the ball a lot. But with Harden now, it kind of helps him a little bit, so it's kind of like a slow integration. With the Embiid thing, I'm always gonna think he has a shot. I don't think he's gonna win it because candidates are just through the roof, so it's kind of difficult. But the Sixers have kind of held their ground, and that kind of hurts his MVP case. They're second, 7-3 in their last 10. But the Sixers desperately miss him, but they haven't fallen off hard enough to where you're starting to consider if Embiid's like really like as impactful as he is. So I think other candidates and Sixers holding the ground kind of prevents him, but they still will definitely benefit from their superstar center returning to the court. Don't get that twisted.
Lehman, you got anything?
Oh, my turn. Is anyone here scared that like Harden's gonna take a few games off and then Kyrie and KD are gonna be having a good old time and Kyrie's gonna go, you know what? I'm point guard. I got a taste for it of this.
I think they put their egos. I think they
lose
aside.
If he plays point guard. Like genuinely, I think they just start losing games. They might go 3-3. Harden comes back and then they'll win 10 in a row. That's what's gonna happen.
See, yeah, I'm not gonna, sit here and play devil's advocate. Well, KD might be a little hobbled. No, he's KD. He's gonna fit in fine and Josh hit on the nose. As far as Embiid, it'll be tough for him to win MVP because he's played. If he came back next game, he would have missed 17 games, and there's 72 games this whole season, so that's like probably the max you can miss. And I know Embiid's gonna be taking back-to-backs off.
He'll miss more.
He'll miss more, and then especially I don't know if Jokic has missed a game. Jokic just plays all the time, so I mean, and that's
he
the
needs
front
it
runner
to
right
stay
now.
fit.
I'll check you on if Jokic has missed time.
I know he's missed extended time, and I feel like he's played the most probably out of everyone except for Dame as far as the MVP like the race. I guess I could say MVP race. So yeah, I think Jokic. It's gonna be tough to beat Jokic, especially now the Nuggets are kind of climbing as far as the standings go.
Yeah, they're fourth now.
Yeah, I still think Embiid's the best center in the league. But Jokic is my MVP, and I don't see it really changing because he's almost always there and durable.
So Jokic just played 47 games this season. I don't know.
The Sixers have played 48 games total.
So he's
probably around there. Probably missed 2 or 3.
Okay. So yeah, moving on. Really quick one. Boogie's expected to sign a 10-day contract with the Clippers. You guys think they even need him because they like to go small at times, or you think it's just a trial run?
You said Jokic played 47, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nuggets have played 48.
Okay,
so
he missed
one game.
It might have been a COVID protocol thing too. I don't know. Anyways,
bit of a quickie here. I'm sure Josh will agree. Yeah, I mean, Boogie's kind of just getting passed around. Like they're like, hey, you want Boogie? Hey, we'll see what he can do. Oh, you didn't do anything. Okay, his 10 days up, and then he'll go to a different team, and maybe he'll start ring chasing. But yeah, I don't see any. I mean, the Clippers, I dubbed them the deepest team in the league. They don't need him. They have Ibaka and Zubac, who I think are better than them. They're not going to run more than 2 centers. So
yeah,
I really don't think he's needed. But
yeah, before we get to Josh, I think even if it's a 10-day, I think they bring him back for like a second one, like 2 10 days. I don't see him having a meaningful role. If you want him, like because Rondo's on there, some chemistry trying to help the locker room or something, that's fine. But in terms of playing time, they like to go small anyways, and Zubac is their best guy that can come off the bench for center. So, Josh, you got anything?
No, it's just a ring. If he gets signed,
Okay.
It's just a ring chasing
he's
thing.
Joakim Noah with a buzzed head for the Clippers. That's what he is. I mean, that's what Joakim Noah. He's Joakim Noah.
And a menace to society. Anyways, that's all for this.
Joakim was a menace to society.
Joakim was riding the bench in the bubble. That's what he was doing for the Clippers. But yeah, the halftime report, it never fails to get me riled up. So that's going to lead us into this next segment. All NBA, first, second, and third teams. Josh made me promise that I would say it's a rough draft because I dropped this in the guys probably about 15 minutes before we started recording. But I'm pretty confident what I came up with.
Let's hear yours first then, host.
Well,
putting you on the spot. Putting you on the spot.
All right. Well, okay. If I'm not the host anymore, do you want to just turn my first team? And then we hear all our first team, or do you want me to name all?
Let's do all players? First. Let's do all first teams, all second teams, all third teams.
Oh, George taking charge.
So I'll start first team.
Okay.
We got Luka Doncic. We got James Harden, LeBron, Giannis, and Jokic.
Okay. Josh,
I'm not gonna name the stats because
we'll go with you then me.
All right. I have the same first 4: Luka, Harden, LeBron, Giannis, but I have Embiid over Jokic.
Okay, so this is actually pretty good because I have a very different, not very, but I have a few differing
just say the things, man.
Damian
you don't
Lillard,
have to introduce it.
James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Giannis, and Nikola Jokic are my 5. Do we want to debate for a little bit or just run through?
I mean, why don't we run through them and then we can explain why? Because I'm pretty sure
we might get a little what's the word, mixed up if we name 15 players.
But at the same,
let's just go right now. Let's just go we're just gonna go what we differ in, and we'll make it quick, and then just move on.
Well, I don't see how Josh can say what he did last time and say, "Oh, Embiid's missed too much time," and then agree with me on the Jokic point, and then say that Embiid's first team. So I just want to hear your reasoning for that.
Because I always said that Embiid still has the shot to be the MVP. Like I personally think he's always gonna have the shot. Jokic is putting up fantastic numbers. But the Sixers being in the first seed area and how good they just been the whole year, I mean, at one point he was the head runner for MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. And I think that even though he got injuries, like it still shouldn't take away from the fact that at that point he was MVP, head runner, and Defensive Player of the Year. So it really depends on how good he plays coming back, but at the same time, I don't know. Jokic is putting up fantastic numbers, so it's very hard for me to put Embiid. I'm doing a little bit of a homer thing here, but his stats are still there, and I think that if he picks up where he left off, he still has a good shot.
You got a bone to pick with anyone, Josh?
Not really, because George probably has the same point for the Kawhi Leonard against the LeBron. Just LeBron has missed too much time, but it's LeBron James. It's really hard to vote against LeBron James. So
I
mean,
just did it for the games purely.
These are predictions, not if we had a vote. So that's why I got LeBron there, just because they're not going to lead. You're also a little distant, George. Sometimes your mic does that, so I don't know if there's like a little quick fix to it. But
Move
yeah,
on to the second teams right now.
LeBron, he still sound like it.
I think he said move to the second team.
Move to the second team.
We'll go same order.
Josh,
Lehman, we'll go same order. We'll go same order.
All right. Dame Lillard, CP3. Shout out J Sports. Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, and Joel Embiid.
Can you guys hear me?
Sure.
Hello.
Yes. Wow. That's gonna hurt a lot of people's ears. I have Dame, Donovan Mitchell, Kawhi, Jimmy, and Jokic. So kind of the same group of people, just another switch.
George.
Ooh, I think we have a little bit of a difference here. I have Luka, Steph, Jimmy, Braun, and Embiid.
Luka, Steph, Jimmy, Braun, and Embiid.
Can you explain to me why Steph Curry is second team?
Because he's putting up what?
Someone let someone else talk.
George, go ahead.
So his numbers mirror, if not, are better than the 2016 unanimous season. And I just feel like he's kind of capped because his roster isn't helping him get wins. And his coach is not chasing wins. So I don't know if you can really hold the inability to get wins on him. Josh, what you got for me?
I don't know why you're comparing 2016 to right now, because in the last 5 years, the game has changed a significant amount. I think 70, way too many players are capable of 20 point per
77
game.
players were capable of making the All-Star team. It's just for stats wise. That was the stat you're looking for.
That's true. I remember that.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of issues. I think Steph Curry gets hurt because of the standings. They're 10th. That's not pretty in the slightest, actually. And it's not even that he's missed time or anything. And if you want to keep blaming it on his team, go ahead. But I mean,
we didn't do that.
Damian Lillard missed CJ McCollum the whole year, and I don't really understand why.
Give Steph the Portland roster, and I promise you they are not 10th.
What Portland roster? 36-year-old Melo Anthony coming off the bench. Gary Trent Jr., who shoots 1 for 9.
Okay, no, he had a 31-point game a couple nights ago. I was meaning to apologize, but they still lost the game, so it doesn't matter. But sorry, Gary Trent Jr.
So is it you have so my top 4 point guards are Luka, Harden, Dame, and CP3. Who do you have Steph ahead of, George? Who are we arguing specifically?
I think Steph first. Yeah.
Wait,
who are your top
Luka,
4?
Harden, Dame, and CP3.
Then it's Steph and CP3.
About 5 players.
Then it's Steph and CP3 are what we're arguing about.
CP3. Okay. So here's the bottom line. CP3 has them the 2nd seed when they didn't make the playoffs last year. They won 8 games in a row, didn't make the playoffs. I think
that's an asterisk. 8 games in a row.
Their roster also did improve in addition to CP3 a lot more coming into this year.
Don't tell me Jay Crowder's more responsible for their wins.
Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson,
CP3.
Torrey Craig, Mikal Bridges got a lot better.
Torrey Craig got there 3 days ago. 3 days ago. They were 2nd seed when he got there.
Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges have always been on that roster. But that kind of accelerates into my point. Yeah, CP3 has him in the 2nd slot, but Donovan Mitchell has the Chaz in the 1st spot. And I feel like he continues to be discredited for that.
Another all-NBA player on the roster.
Okay, yeah, the guy that can't shoot outside of the
restricted area.
Player of the year.
The restricted area.
Out of the paint. He can't. He makes layups 50% of the time. That's his.
I think we should move on to 3rd team.
Well, no, you have
no. Liam and I still don't find your defense against.
We can agree to disagree.
So why isn't right or wrong answer? Why isn't Bradley Beal on your squad, George?
Well, he's on my 3rd team.
But why doesn't he?
That's a good transition. Now let's go. Liam, go give me your 3rd team.
I'm always going for okay. So I got Curry there, so he's still there. I got Mitchell there, so he's still there, guys. And then. Said I do it on the spot. I'm going Simmons, Zion Williamson, and Rudy Gobert.
Oh, so
Josh.
Now we kind of differ. So I have CP3, so I still have him. I have then I have a couple guys that have the high stats, low record. Stephen Tatum, Julius Randle, and Rudy Gobert. I can't leave Rudy Gobert out. It sucks. I want to so bad, but I can't. Go ahead, George.
Gobert, Randall, Simmons, Spida, Beal.
Okay.
Randall, Simmons. Okay.
So you left off Chris Paul entirely?
Oh my! No Suns. No, not even Booker. Didn't even get the Booker.
Why? Do you not like the Suns?
No, I love the
Jay
Suns.
Sports is so upset right now.
Monty
He's
Williams,
no, he is.
Monty Williams is my coach of the year pick. So
you're accrediting Monty Williams, the guy that's been there the whole time.
So, okay. So Spida, obviously, they have the best record. You can't leave him off. Beal, he's having too phenomenal of a season to leave him off. He's scoring like 34 points per game.
31
31
points. It's down.
His points are coming down a bit.
Did he make the All-NBA team last year? Didn't he have 34 last year?
COVID season, he cut off. He didn't.
Yeah, Mickey Mouse ring season, but the LeBron James championship counts, but the All NBA squad doesn't.
This season's more fake than last season, so take that how you will.
Oh, but if the Lakers win.
Okay, George. So you're saying that other candidates have a stronger case than Chris Paul?
Chris Paul's impact is definitely a lot better than some of these guys, but I don't know stats wise if the voters will get him there. So that's why
that's the whole thing. The impact.
16 and 9 and 5.
Like we can talk about dead stats all we want here, but at the end of the line, who's getting the team the wins? And Chris Paul.
I just feel like since
Chris Paul probably has the highest plus minus in terms of the wins.
He's 46 and he played 46 games this season.
Yeah, he's like one of the best floor raisers. He's one of the best floor raisers in the league. But here's the thing:
I don't want to hear buzzwords. He's missed 2 games as a 36-year-old.
What does age have to do with this? Is that why
Bradley Beal's missed? He's starting to miss games, George.
Okay, well, yeah. If Beal keeps missing games, then I have no problem with CP3 being there.
LeBron James was left off your first team because he's missing games, and Chris Paul's playing games, and he's left out your team entirely. So I
really didn't realize Beal was starting to miss games. Okay.
Okay, but that doesn't really apply to George's.
He just started missing games.
I'll differentiate from you guys. And this is gonna kind of sound hypocritical, but I think I have Tatum over you guys as Simmons. And that
Shocks
I just
well, Lehman was debating either of them, so
it's very hard to keep Ben Simmons off, especially because he has such a high depoy case. But I just kind of like Jason Tatum's stats a little bit better, and I think Ben Simmons has kind of truly benefited from Tobias Harris not sucking. So I think that also is a big thing. So I know the record for Boston is not great. They're 8th, but I think in this case it's okay because it's the 3rd team. So I think the kind of the high stats guy. But leaving Chris Paul off, Georgia, that's a whole different level than what I'm trying to do. And Lehman, who is your other? Someone's got to be the menace
here. So we all agree as far as so I had Zion.
You had Zion. Okay, I like Julius Randle's stats better, and I also think that they have a better record. Julius Randle's averaging a double-double, and he's averaging twice as many stats, twice as many assists.
Oh, George is ready. George had a brain blast.
So you have a problem with Beal being
they have a better
CP3.
Record. The Knicks have a better record than the Pelicans.
You're right.
Is that what you're trying to get at?
Yeah. So he has Zion over Randle.
Okay.
The Knicks are in the playoff picture, and the Pelicans aren't. But you have a problem with me putting Beal when the Wizards aren't in the playoff picture. But Chris Paul is.
Are you gonna make me name Zion Williamson's stats? You're gonna make me name the 63%.
You want me to name Bradley Beal's stats?
63% field goal percentage, and he's played more games. Zion Williamson.
Zion and Beal are both having very, very, very good
63% shooting percentage, 27 a game.
Bradley Beal is everything the Wizards have. Plus Russ on some nights.
Okay, all right, George. I'm gonna stop you right there. I might be the #1 Russell Westbrook hater in the universe at this moment, but Russell Westbrook still does stuff for the Washington Wizards.
My idiot takes are getting Josh to turn on his Russell Westbrook hate. I win in some capacity.
No, George. We're not This is not a debate. Also, the Wizards have been like 14th the whole year. Every other week, the Pelicans are competing for the play-in spot. They don't
They're
look good
still
now, but wait
12th.
till next week. Wait till next week. And also, the Suns are second. The Knicks go
The Knicks
from
were
fourth
fourth
to
at
10th.
one point.
They're fourth right now, but in a week they're sixth right now. But in a week they might be 10th. Like that's the thing.
So
I
you're
also
saying-
think, George,
the Suns are set second.
you're mincing words. I think that's a saying.
Is it?
Point
Nope.
guards, or the guard position in this hypothetical, is a lot more competitive than the forward position.
Okay.
So I think when you're comparing, I have CP3 there, and he has Julius Randle. You got to compare forward through forward. And if you want to have the Zion take against Julius Randle, I can honor that. But don't say like, oh, you value wins on this spot, but then we go to forwards and you don't value it.
Okay. That would make more sense. CP3 is like right there. I kind of did want to put him in, but with Beal's season, I don't know if they like completely leave him off because he was also like an
They
all-star
did
starter.
last year. They'll do it again.
I don't know. I feel like this is I feel like the world kind of like bullied everyone into getting him into being like a starter. So maybe they'll do it to the voters too.
Well, that started last year with Trae Young making the All-Star team with 29 points a game in last seed. So like if it was going to change, the All-NBA team, I don't think will change as far as voters go. I think they're rewarding players with All-Stars that don't win a lot of games because there's 24 spots, there's only 15 spots here. So I think they reward winning and stats.
At the end of the day, the Suns are the second team, so who even cares about this? Who even cares?
Oh yes. Oh yes. See, that's what I like about George. You can convert him. He won't die on a hill. He won't. just name
Front runner, right, Josh?
Yes, sir.
You can name some decent points, and George will be like, you know what? Fine.
I like
But-
to if I'm
It's
brought up
like
with
a
good
stubborn
points,
give up. It's not even like an acceptance. It's
if I am
giving
given
up.
facts and reason,
He goes through
and
all
good
all
points,
6 stages of grief through a debate. he hit acceptance. So I'm
Denial,
happy about that.
He doesn't hit acceptance.
depression,
Don't try and name all
anger,
of them.
Move on.
acceptance.
Move on. We're
Got
losing
him.
them.
That's
We're
4.
losing
Fuck.
them.
You
Losing.
swore again. You swore. Oh no. Look ahead.
J
Hit-
Sports is gonna bring me up for that.
Hit us with the look ahead, George.
Okay, so my look ahead. Oh, wait, I told you guys before.
Josh, what's your look ahead?
My look ahead is Friday, NBA TV, 4:30 p.m. Mavericks go to New York to face the Knicks. This will be a good one. Knicks have been trying to do
Wait, Lehman, I
low-scoring
took yours.
offense. Mavericks are high efficiency. George, yours is Hornets Celtics. Sunday,
Okay, because-
3
He's
p.m.
telling him to look
Listen,
ahead.
because before the podcast I said it, and then Lehman said he was taking it, but okay.
Well, Lehman picked a different one, but
There's no draft room. I send the email and we start it right away. Like there's no draft room.
So Celtics Hornets, like Josh mentioned, it is 2 former Celtics going up against their team, and we get to laugh at Danny Ainge more if Terry Rozier and Gordon Hayward both drop 30 bombs in the game.
Stop. I'm not looking forward to it.
So we have Steph Curry versus Steph Curry wannabe, Hawks Warriors Sunday, 4:30 p.m. on NBA TV. They practically have the same record, but the Warriors are almost falling out of the playoffs, and the Hawks are securing 6 seeds. So that kind of shows where the East is at as far as that goes. That's my look ahead. Probably I like George's a lot. Like I said, George kind of stole mine, but he'd be doing that. But yeah. Any closing remarks here before I send the people
No,
home?
sir.
No, we're
George,
good.
when does UCLA play?
Saturday, I believe.
You got a W?
We've came this far, ride or die. Let's do it.
I
Championship.
can't-
You
I-
got a CSUN. Who's we? Doesn't work for
Uh-oh.
college.
Uh-oh.
Works for the NBA. Doesn't work for college. Silly goose.
Uh-oh. Saturday, 8:30 Eastern time.
Well, I didn't need to.
UCLA is a 14-point
It's not a
underdog.
look ahead. Fort. Who are they playing?
Gonzaga. That's the best team in this
Oh,
tournament.
they're playing.
That
they're
NBA
playing-
team. They're the NBA team of the
They're
tournament.
playing that guy with the really cool facial hair.
Drew Timmy. That's what Lehman wants to look like when he grows out his mustache.
It honestly kind of looks like that. Just give me like 8 months or so.
Eight-
Josh,
8 months.
what's your championship round?
He picked Baylor to win it all.
Baylor, Gonzaga.
Do you stand by that?
Baylor. I do. I think Baylor's playing underrated basketball right now. I think.
Will
they
we have
beat
another
Gonzaga.
pod before a team wins?
No.
So who?
Yes.
What,
Yes,
we
we
will,
will have
okay.
we'll have another pod on Sunday.
Sunday.
I think we'll have the championship round because championship's Monday.
I'm gonna be sad. No more UCLA after that.
So we won't give our picks yet, or I don't know who I'm talking about. These guys won't give their picks yet. I got Gonzaga just because cool facial hair.
Go Bruins.
I had Oral Roberts, but Oral choked it, so that's how it goes.
Oh my.
George, what's your finals looking like?
UCLA Baylor. Let's get it.
Even you don't believe that, but thanks for joining us tonight. Pretty solid episode. Thanks for watching or listening. If you like our show, make sure to follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, all of them at THHoopers. Follow us on Spotify too. I don't say that enough. Also YouTube, we're uploading every single time, so you can see our faces and George and his 2 a.m. face. But make sure you drop a response. You'll get a response. Make sure you drop a comment. You'll get a response late here too. George Norkalak without his phone. And thanks for being an OG. Take care, guys.